You ever have one of those days where everything you thought you knew just shatters? That was me. 1 year ago, our wedding anniversary. I got off work early. I was exhausted from back-to-back 24-hour shifts at the fire station, but I was in good spirits. I had this dumb idea to surprise Stephanie, my wife, for our anniversary. Nothing fancy. Just pizza, a bottle of wine, and that terrible rom-com she secretly loved. Thought it'd be cute. I walked into our apartment and froze. Stephanie was on the damn couch. With someone else. His shirt was half off. Hers was definitely off. The same couch we bought together. The one I'd crashed on countless nights after work because I didn't want to wake her up. I didn't say anything. I just stood there. She turned her head, locked eyes with me, and instead of guilt or shock, she rolled her eyes. "You're early." That's what she said. Like I had the audacity to walk into my own apartment on our anniversary. UTF. I didn't rage, didn't throw anything. I just left. It wasn't until I hit the stairwell that my hands started shaking. My legs felt like jelly. I sat on the third step for almost 20 minutes. Staring at a crack on the wall, everything felt surreal. We'd been together since I was 20. I put her through grad school, worked double shifts, sacrificed vacations, weekends. Peace of mind so she could chase her TV news career. For what? Some douchebag from the mayor's PR office. Last week, I finally moved into my own house, but we'll get there. Right after that night, I crashed at my best friend Tyler's place. He had this tiny one-bedroom apartment with a leaky ceiling and a dog that wouldn't stop licking my face at 3 a.m., but he didn't even blink, just handed me a beer and a blanket and said, "Stay as long as you need." I didn't sleep that night, just kept replaying everything, every conversation, every lie I didn't see. And then the texts started coming in. "Stephanie, it was a mistake. Stephanie, I panicked. Stephanie, we can fix this." Bull. She wasn't even trying to hide it. That guy had been around for months. I started digging, piecing things together. Her late-night breaking news stories. The new perfume she suddenly wore. The way she changed her phone password and said it was for security reasons. Nah, she didn't panic. She planned. The divorce was brutal. She lawyered up immediately. Some shark in heels who acted like I was the villain. Meanwhile, I could barely afford my retainer. I showed up to court in my uniform straight from work because I didn't have time to change. But the worst betrayal wasn't even Stephanie. It was my little sister, Tessa. Yeah, my baby sis. We grew up sharing a single bedroom and hand-me-downs. I changed her diapers, helped her get into college, paid off her credit card debt once because she got scammed buying TikTok merch. And she took Stephanie's side. Not just like neutral in the divorce side. No. Tessa was at brunch with her, posting selfies with captions like "strong women lift each other up." I was blocked on her stories. She didn't even have the guts to tell me. Found out through mutuals. And get this, Stephanie was offering to set her up with some wealthy campaign donor from the PR guys circle. Tessa was practically auditioning for a sugar daddy role. When I confronted her, she told me straight up, "You're too angry all the time. Maybe if you weren't such a martyr, she wouldn't have cheated." That hit me harder than the cheating did. I blocked her. Haven't spoken since. So yeah, I went from a married firefighter with dreams of starting a family to a divorced dude living in a crappy shared apartment with zero family support, eating canned soup and protein bars. At the time, I didn't know it, but that was the start of something. That rock bottom night, that was the night I quietly decided I'd never let anyone make me feel like that again. No more savior complex. No more fixing people who wouldn't even bend for me. I was going to rebuild everything from scratch. For me. Not to prove anything. Not for applause. Just because I deserved better. The first couple of weeks after the split were brutal. I worked my ass off during the day. And at night I'd just sit in the dark, eating straight from a takeout box, wondering what the hell happened to my life. My apartment was a shoebox, no, seriously. I could touch the fridge, bed, and toilet without taking more than 2 steps. No TV, no couch, just a mattress on the floor and a folding chair I found on Craigslist for 20 bucks. And Tessa, my sister, she was living it up, posting pictures with Stephanie from brunch spots I could never afford, talking about healing energy and new chapters. Bro, you weren't even part of the damn story. And now you're out here narrating my downfall like it's your highlight reel. Every time I saw their smug little faces on Instagram, I wanted to smash my phone. But I didn't. I just unfollowed them both and kept scrolling. Or tried to. Honestly, sometimes I just stared at the ceiling until morning. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just froze. Like my brain needed a minute to accept that everything I thought was real had been a damn illusion. Eventually, I got tired of feeling like a ghost in my own life. One day, I woke up and thought, screw this. If they're out there living their best lives, then fine. I'd live mine. I didn't know what the hell that meant yet, but I was going to figure it out. Step 1. Money. I picked up every extra shift I could at the station. Back-to-back 24s. Volunteered for the community outreach stuff nobody wanted. Even started doing side work on weekends, installing fire alarms in small businesses, safety inspections for old apartment buildings, stuff like that. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid, and it kept my mind busy. At night, instead of stewing in bitterness, I started studying. Took online classes in emergency planning and disaster risk assessment. Sounds boring as hell. I know, but it's in demand. And I figured, hey, if I'm already saving people from burning buildings, why not get paid to stop the fires before they start? Within 6 months, I was pulling in solid cash. Still in the shoebox apartment, but my savings account, that thing was finally breathing. One night, my old Captain Dan pulled me aside after a late shift. Big guy, rough hands, soft heart. He goes, "You ever think about doing your own thing, starting something?" I blinked at him like he'd just suggested I run for president. Me, I laughed. Like what? He shrugged. "You're organized. You show up. You give a damn. Start your own fire safety consultancy." I've seen city departments throw 5 figures at less qualified people. That stuck with me. A few weeks later, I built a 1-page website, registered a business name, and printed the ugliest-ass business cards you've ever seen. Seriously, they looked like they were made in Microsoft Paint, but I handed them out to everyone I met. Tyler helped me set up a spreadsheet to track expenses and appointments. I still had no clue what I was doing, but somehow, it started working. By month 9, I had regular clients, property managers, event planners, even a small hotel chain. And here's the kicker. I started getting invited to speak at community events. Just little gigs. But people were listening, taking notes, asking questions, calling me Mr. Rivera like I was some kind of authority. It felt weird at first, then it felt right. That's when the first crack appeared in Stephanie and Tessa's golden alliance. Tyler heard from a mutual friend that Stephanie's PR boy toy had moved to another city with someone new. Apparently, he ghosted her, blocked her on everything, took a job in LA, and left her with rent she couldn't afford and a car that wasn't even paid off. Meanwhile, Tessa's rich connection bailed too. Turns out, he wasn't rich, just Instagram rich. Fancy watches, fake accounts, all smoke and mirrors. Suddenly, the selfies stopped. The brunch posts slowed down. Tessa quietly returned to her old job at the local content agency. No more healing energy captions, just silence. Funny how karma doesn't need a grand entrance. Sometimes it just waits quietly while you trip over your own bullshit. Then, something wild happened. I hit my 1-year divorce mark. Took myself out to dinner. Just me and a steak and a really good glass of whiskey. No celebration, just acknowledgement. And I posted a photo. Nothing flashy. Just my meal and a caption that said 1 year. Still standing. The response, unreal. Guys I hadn't talked to in years messaged me. "Proud of you, man. Didn't know what happened, but glad to see you thriving." Even my old station captain commented with a fire emoji and a thumbs up. Then I got a text from an unknown number. "Hey, it's Tessa. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen for a long time. You know that feeling when you smell something that reminds you of a bad memory? That was me. I didn't respond right away. Didn't know what to say. She messaged again. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Things got really messy and I shouldn't have picked sides. I miss my brother. Part of me wanted to reply. Part of me wanted to scream, you picked brunch and lies over blood. But I didn't do either. I just left it on red. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking, what if I'm becoming the cold one now? But nah, I wasn't cold. I was focused. I was finally building something that didn't need validation or forgiveness or second chances. The next morning, I got up, hit the gym, met with 2 clients, and finalized my pre-approval on a modest 3-bedroom house in a decent part of town. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I even had enough left over to upgrade my work van, no more secondhand Ford that squealed like a dying bird every time I turned right. As I was driving home, I got another message. This time from Stephanie. He left. I was stupid. I'm sorry for everything. Blocked. Didn't even hesitate. This life I was building, it didn't have room for ghosts. And yet, they kept trying to come back. About 2 weeks after I signed the papers on the new house, things went from weird to straight up unhinged. I was packing boxes in my apartment, just me. A pizza box. And an old playlist from when Stephanie and I used to road trip together. I don't know why I still had it saved. But when that one song came on, the one we played on our honeymoon, I just sat down in the middle of the floor, holding a damn roll of bubble wrap, and stared at the wall for a while. Not sad, not nostalgic, just tired. I let the song finish, then deleted the playlist. Closure. One Spotify track at a time. The next morning, I'm sipping black coffee from a chipped mug when there's a knock on the door. No one knocks anymore. Everyone texts. So I already had a bad feeling. I opened it and there she was. Tessa, standing on my doormat like nothing had happened. Hair in a messy bun, oversized sunglasses, kids in tow. They were dragging rolling suitcases. And one of the boys was holding a half-deflated balloon. WTF, I didn't even step aside. Tessa, I said, flat. Hey, she said, trying to smile like we were just picking up from brunch last weekend. Can we come in? I just blinked. You're kidding. She laughed nervously. Okay, yeah, so, long story short, my landlord sold the building, and I didn't get approved for the new place in time. The kids and I have nowhere to go. I figured since you have the house now, maybe we could stay for a bit. I stared at her like she just asked to borrow my spine. You serious right now? Her smile dropped. Logan, come on, we're family. Now that got me. Because where was that we're family crap when I was sleeping on a buddy's couch, eating ramen 3 nights a week while she posted selfies with my cheating ex-wife? I didn't say any of that. I just said, no. Her jaw dropped like I slapped her. No, she echoed, like she'd never heard the word before. You can't stay here. I repeated, not even a night. Especially not a night. But the kids, they have grandparents. Take them there. Mom and Dad said they're too old to deal with toddlers. They said you'd understand. I actually laughed. Right, because now I'm the responsible one. She started crying. Right there in the hallway. Ugly crying. The kind that makes strangers stare. Please, she whispered. We don't have anyone. You had me, I said, voice cold. And you tossed me aside for brunch dates and empty promises. It wasn't like that. Oh, I know exactly what it was like. I saw the posts. I saw you defend her while I was out here picking up broken pieces of a life I didn't even destroy. I stepped back inside and closed the door in her face. She didn't leave right away. Knocked a few more times. Said my name like it still held power. But eventually, she left. By the next afternoon, it started. First, a call from Mom. Your sister said you threw her out in the street. Is that true? I said. She showed up uninvited with luggage and guilt trips. I told her to leave. Well, Logan, she has children. I was done explaining. She also had choices, like not siding with my ex when I was homeless and heartbroken. Mom huffed and hung up. Then came the messages. From Dad. From extended family. even some random cousin I hadn't seen since high school. Apparently, Tessa was doing a full sympathy tour, painting me as this cold, rich homeowner who couldn't spare a couch for his own blood. Stephanie even texted me, "Yeah, her. I know we have history, but I'm worried about Tessa. She's trying really hard. Maybe you could be the bigger person." I didn't respond to that one. Blocked her too. A few nights later, I got home late. It had been a long day inspection in the morning, training session in the afternoon, and one of my tires had blown out on the freeway because I forgot to check the pressure. My back was killing me. I pulled into the driveway, shut off the engine, and just sat there in the dark for a minute. Then I saw it. A familiar SUV parked across the street. Tessa? She wasn't alone. The kids were asleep in the back seat. Suitcases lined the sidewalk like they were waiting for a shuttle. I walked over. She got out of the car, arms crossed, lips tight. "We got kicked out of the shelter. Too full," she said like it was my problem to fix. I looked at the kids. My nephews. They didn't ask for this, but I didn't budge. "You can't do this, Tessa. They're just kids. Logan, yours too. In a way." "No," I snapped. Don't weaponize that. Don't pretend we're close when you iced me out for a girl who slept her way through a PR campaign." Her face turned red. "You don't get to judge me. You think you're better because you've got your little house and your business now." "No. But I earned this. Every inch of it. I bled for it while you were sipping sangrias with a traitor." Silence. Then she said, "Lo, you're really not going to help." I did. For years. And when I needed help, crickets? She didn't say anything else. Just got back in the car and drove away. I filed a no contact and trespass warning the next day. Petty, maybe. Necessary, absolutely. I also installed security cameras. Front, back, side gates. Motion alerts on my phone. Not because I was scared, because I was done being surprised. Tyler thought I was overreacting. But he wasn't the one being treated like a human ATM with a guilt complex. A few days later, I'm at the kitchen counter, reading emails when I hear a knock. I peek out the window. It's Mom and Dad. Great. I open the door halfway. Mom goes, "We need to talk." "No, you need to listen." She opened her mouth, but I raised a hand. I told Tessa no. I meant it. I'm not the family fixer anymore. But she's desperate. She made me desperate once. Nobody blinked. My dad stepped forward, trying to play the patriarch. A man takes care of his family. I looked him dead in the eye. "So where were you when your son was sleeping on a friend's floor, eating stale cereal, and watching his life burn to the ground?" He didn't answer. "Exactly." I said, "This house, these keys, this piece, I fought for it. Alone. You don't get to walk in now and hand out obligations." They left after that. Didn't even slam the door. Later that night, I sat on my back porch, cold drink in hand, watching the stars. It hit me. This was the first time in years I felt safe, not just physically, emotionally. No begging. No guilt. No expectations. And it wasn't because I had a house. It was because I had boundaries. Real ones. Solid, enforced, and unapologetic. I didn't feel like a villain. I felt like me. So I thought that was the end of it. Family drama handled, boundaries reinforced, emotional stability check. I had a new morning routine: wake up at 6, jog around the neighborhood, grab a coffee from the little shop on Ash and 5th where the barista remembered my name. It was the first time in years I wasn't waking up to chaos or texts from someone asking for something. It was just calm. Until I pulled into my driveway one night around 11:30 and saw someone sitting on my porch. It was dark, but the second the porch light hit her face, I knew. Stephanie. No makeup. Hair a mess. Hoodie. Skinny. Like, alarmingly skinny. She looked nothing like the woman I married, or the one who torched my life on the couch with a guy who wore loafers with no socks. She stood when she saw me, eyes red, arms wrapped around herself like she was cold but didn't want to show it. "What are you doing here?" I asked flatly, not even turning off the engine. "I didn't know where else to go," she said, voice barely above a whisper. I killed the ignition, stepped out slowly. "You lost GPS broken. Logan, please, what I said, deadpan. Want to use the bathroom, charge your phone, Ask for a loan. Or is this a pop-up apology tour? She winced. You're angry. Nope, that expired a long time ago. She sat back down, rubbing her arms. I stood there, watching her like a wildlife doc scene where a wolf pretends to be a stray dog. I messed up, she said. Finally. I know that now. I don't know what I thought. I was stupid. I said nothing. He left, she continued. Didn't even say goodbye. Took the car, the rent money, everything. And the station dropped me after the PR scandal. Apparently, viewers don't like anchors who get involved with married aides. Wild, I muttered. Actions having consequences unheard of. She gave a bitter smile. I deserve that. I crossed my arms. Stephanie, what do you want? She looked up at me, and her voice cracked. I want to come home. I blinked. Then I laughed. Full chest. Can't help it laugh. Home, I said, wiping my eyes. Steph, that ship didn't sail. It sank. And you helped drill the holes. I'm not asking to pick up where we left off. No, you're asking me to forget you burned everything down and left me standing in the smoke. She stood up. I know I hurt you, but I thought we had something real once. We did, I said, unlocking the door. And you turned it into a punchline. She stepped forward. Don't you miss it, us? I paused, looked her dead in the eye. No, I said, and shut the door. She sat outside for a while, so I didn't watch, but I heard her crying. It wasn't satisfying. It wasn't triumphant. It was just maya. But I didn't open the door. I couldn't, and I wouldn't. I spent too long rebuilding the parts of me she casually shattered to let nostalgia or guilt sneak back in. Eventually, I heard her footsteps retreat down the path. A car started. She was gone. The next morning, I got a message from Tessa. Not a text, a voicemail. You turned your back on everyone, she said, voice tight. Now Stephanie's sleeping in her mom's garage, and the kids are asking why their uncle doesn't care anymore. I hope your fancy new life is worth all the people you've pushed away. Delete. She didn't get it. None of them did. I didn't walk away because I was bitter. I walked away because they were toxic, and I refused to keep breathing poison just to be the good guy. A few days later, something unexpected happened. A woman named Rachel, mid-40s, worked as a real estate investor in town, reached out to hire me for a big safety audit of her rental properties. She heard about my business through one of the local neighborhood Facebook groups. Apparently, I met her at a coffee shop to go over the scope. Smart, direct, didn't waste time, and sharp as hell. We started working together on a project, then another. Meetings turned into late lunches, then drinks. It wasn't a rebound, and it wasn't fireworks and butterflies. It was quiet, steady, real. One night, she looked across the table at me and said, "You carry yourself like someone who's rebuilt from rubble." I raised an eyebrow. That obvious? She smiled. Yeah, but it's not a bad thing. Just means you know what not to allow anymore. Damn right. Meanwhile, Karma was still busy cashing its checks. Tessa lost her job after missing too many days. She blamed me, obviously. Stephanie posted a long, vague status about betrayal from people you loved most and got 2 likes and 1 "you okay, hun" comment. Even mom and dad started pulling back. I think they finally realized that whatever narrative Tessa had been spinning wasn't adding up. One night, Dad called me. Just small talk. Asked how the business was doing. If I needed anything. I said, no, but thanks for asking. It was weird, but nice. Like maybe he remembered I was his son. Not just a default ATM or emotional shock absorber. Progress, I guess. Then came the final straw. 3 days before Christmas, Tessa showed up at the shop. Rachel was there, going over some blueprints with me. We were laughing about a client who thought smoke detectors needed batteries only during fire season. Tessa stormed in like it was her name on the lease. Seriously, she snapped, "You're just gonna ignore me forever." Rachel stepped aside. I stayed seated. Depends. Are you here for another guilt trip, or did you finally bring that apology I never got? She crossed her arms. I don't owe you an apology for trying to survive. You don't owe me anything. I said, that's the point. You made your choices. I made mine. She looked around the shop at the equipment, the office, the progress. This is what you picked over your family. No, I said, standing now. This is what I built after my family dropped me. Her face twisted. You think you're so righteous. But one day, you'll be the one asking for help. And I hope no one answers. Rachel stepped forward then, casually. Hi. I'm the person who did answer, she said, eyes locked on Tessa. And I gotta say, I don't regret it. Tessa turned red. Unbelievable. She stormed out, again. That night, I sat on the back porch with Rachel. No words for a while, just the sound of the wind, the faint music of holiday lights clicking on across the street. You okay? She asked. I nodded. I think I'm finally done hoping they'll change. She leaned her head on my shoulder. Sometimes freedom isn't loud. It's just quiet peace after a storm. We watched the stars. I exhaled. It wasn't revenge. It was release. So I figured if there was ever a time to throw a housewarming party, this was it. The business was stable. I was sleeping more than 4 hours a night. Rachel was a steady presence, not dramatic, not pushy, just there. And most importantly, I wasn't angry anymore. Not numb, not indifferent, just clear. So I sent out invites. Small crowd. People who'd actually been there during the dark times. Tyler, of course. A couple of folks from the department. Clients turned friends. And Rachel helped plan everything. She even made a spreadsheet. Because, of course she did. We did it right. Backyard lights. Real food. A cooler full of good beer. And not that off-brand crap I used to drink out of desperation. Music low enough for conversation, but loud enough to drown out overthinking. Everyone showed up happy. Relaxed. Proud of me. In that quiet way, real friends are no speeches, just smiles and long overdue toasts. And then came the surprise. Halfway through the party, as I'm flipping burgers, I notice a couple people near the gate murmuring. Not like we're out of guac murmuring, more like you've got to be kidding me murmuring. I turn around, and there she is. Tessa, in the middle of my damn housewarming party. She wasn't even trying to be subtle. Wearing this ridiculous fake smile expression like she was some long-lost cousin just popping in, Rachel spotted her at the same time I did. I could see her go into alert mode. I stepped forward before anyone else could. Not tonight, I said under my breath, meeting Tessa at the gate. Oh, come on, she said, fake cheerful. I saw the invite on Tyler's story. Thought I'd stop by and say congrats. She looked past me into the yard. Nice crowd. You've come a long way. Tessa, I'm serious, I said, blocking her from entering. Not tonight. Not here. She scoffed. I'm just trying to make peace. No, you're trying to make a scene, I snapped. And I'm not playing host to a history lesson everyone here already passed. Her expression cracked. You really are a different person. Thank God, I muttered. Before she could say anything else, Rachel appeared beside me. We're trying to keep things positive here, she said calmly, but there was steel in her voice. This isn't the time. Tessa looked between us, like trying to decide who to argue with. She landed back on me. You think cutting people off makes you strong? All it does is make you alone. I smiled. I'm not alone, I said, gesturing back toward the crowd. You made sure of that, remember? She didn't have a comeback for that. Just left. Again. The party went on. I didn't even tell most people what happened. Didn't need to. The people who mattered, they already knew. After everyone left, Rachel and I sat on the steps of the porch, just the two of us. With the last of the beer and the sound of wind chimes clicking softly in the breeze. You okay? She asked, nudging my leg with hers. Better than I've been in years, I said, and I meant it. She smiled. You handled that with grace. Old you would have body-checked her into the bushes. Old me would have invited her back in and apologized for not giving her the good seat. I said. But yeah. I thought about the bushes too. We both laughed. The kind that feels earned. A week later, I found something in the mail that stopped me cold. A letter, handwritten, from Stephanie. I almost threw it out. I mean, seriously. Who writes letters in 2025? But something told me to open it, just once, just to know. It was 2 pages, neat handwriting, no perfume, No manipulative remember when nonsense. Just honest. She talked about therapy, about hitting rock bottom, about looking at herself in the mirror and realizing she didn't recognize who she'd become. She said, "I didn't write to ask for anything, sis. I just needed you to know I was wrong. Deeply, stupidly wrong. And I'm sorry." I stared at the letter for a long time. Then I folded it up, placed it in a drawer, and didn't respond. Because sometimes forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about letting yourself exhale without someone else's weight on your chest. The next month, the local fire department invited me back for a guest workshop on post-crisis resilience. I almost said no, but Tyler convinced me. "You're literally a walking case study," he said. "You went from rock bottom to running your own company. People need to hear that." So I did it. Nervous as hell, sweaty palms, stumbled through the intro. But once I started talking about loss, rebuilding, boundaries, and pride, man, they listened. Afterward, 2 younger guys came up and told me they'd gone through similar stuff. One got divorced last year. The other had a brother who stopped speaking to him after he came out. We talked for an hour after the workshop, swapped stories, laughed a little. It was the first time I realized I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was helping other people survive too. By spring, Rachel and I had turned the side of the house into a little workshop space for community safety classes. Once a month, we'd host families, teach them how to install fire alarms, use extinguishers, basic CPR. She handled the logistics. I handled the talking. It was low-key, but impactful. Kids would come up afterward and say stuff like, "I want to be a firefighter too." And every time, I'd just grin and think, if you only knew how far back I had to crawl just to stand here and smile at you. Then, just when I thought the chaos chapter was fully closed, I saw Tessa again. Not in person, online. She posted a photo, new apartment, new job announcement, and a caption that said, "Sometimes you gotta lose people to find yourself." No shade, no digs, just growth. And you know what? Good for her. That night, I walked through the house with the lights off, just letting the silence fill the space. Every corner had a story now. Every scuff on the floor, every uneven bit of paint mine, earned, honest. And as I stood in the hallway, looking at a framed photo from the housewarming party, Rachel and I, grinning with sparklers in our hands, I thought, this isn't revenge. This is freedom. And it tastes a hell of a lot better.